Hello.
He died.
We can hear you. I know. I was gonna say I saw my parsec thing say it's disconnected. I'm like, I don't know if we're live right now.
Convenient, I guess.
Should I DC and come back to the parsec? It's like Cinnamon Bread isn't the only one whose Discord is dead.
It's so painful for him. That's so unlucky.
I was worried it was me for a second. Probably would have been better if it was me, to be honest. But
Easier to manage.
hello, everybody. Here, I'm gonna refresh. All right, we're in here. We're in here. Welcome back, everybody. We had a little bit of a computer die there on the production side, but we are back into the game. We will be unpausing here in just a few short moments. TDS, are you with us?
Yeah, I was waiting for Caddy to show me the screen, so perfect.
All right, thank you very much, Caddy. Quick recovery there on what was a little bit of a technical difficulty. We are back onto the Rift for game number 3. It is going to be Gorka and Light Pulse still with control over this bottom lane.
In a potential dive, Mike Young already setting up. They have the wave close by. They know that Xin Zhao is not there. He's trying to run, but he probably is not going to reach on time.
Oh, and the lockdown is just so easy onto Boschetti. It is going to be Light Pulse getting traded back onto, though, and Rockboom going to be able to continue to get the farm and XP. This is not the result UCI were hoping for, and Rockboom flashing forward, looking for the double snare. Will get it. Akashi has arrived. Will not get the charm out of Mike Young as he gets away with the decoy just in time, but the flash forward with the wind becomes lightning from Maddie. Mike Young will drop to Akashi. Goraka going to go down to Rockboom, and it's a 3-for-1 trade for St. Clair.
It's a perfect setup. They may have lost the wave to the turret, but who the hell cares? 3 kills for just 1. Boschetti gives up his life so that Rockboom can get 2 kills in this play. Great rotation, great read, and really weird how it ended up going for UCI. They were thinking about going for the dive, but at the same time were thinking twice, even thrice, if it was going to be worth. And because of that indecisiveness, at the end, St. Clair is able to punish. Great play, and now the game is so much in favor of the side of St. Clair because of that small lead.
Clair off to a huge early start with this bot lane dive, turning back around into their favor. I mean, they get a great focus here onto Boschetti, but he is not the primary target, and a great collapse for the rest of the squad. Oh, as we got a little bit of a play on the other side, Boschetti, or on live rather, going to take plenty of damage there. The Comet nearly taking him down, and he will drop to Mike Young. Cinnamon Bread actually ends up picking up that kill as Akashi is here to try to fend him off.
Yeah, with Cinnamon Bread rotating first, makes it really difficult to be able to try and protect Boschetti there. Even though they do get a really good first kill, or first couple of kills, it now turns back a bit with Cinnamon Bread getting back that kill. All in all though, really interesting way that the early game has started. Both teams aggressive, both teams wanting to fight, nobody giving anything up for nothing at all. Really nice to see.
Oh, Ignite, thrown down by Akashi, advancing forward, looking for the solo kill. Can't quite get that Orb of Deception to come back the way he wants it to, but Cinnamon Bread forced out of lane.
And luckily doesn't get the angle for it. He's really looking forward to the hook, but doesn't get it. And with no ulti now, with no Ignite, maybe this could be an opportunity for a gank, yes.
Addy coming down. Mike Young, though, looking to punish. Cinnamon Bread gets his ultimate charm, doesn't land, and Akashi gets solo killed by Cinnamon Bread. He gets one back.
Akashi looks so aggressive for the pick, so aggressive for that attempt in the kill, but it gives the opportunity now for Cinnamon Red to collect it. I do like the fact that he didn't give the opportunity for Wukong to get it either, so at least keeping the gold for himself. It's going to be a dragon fight potentially, no mid laners close by, so it's going to be a 3v3.
V3 Smite goes over in the favor of the Saints. Get themselves that early Ocean Drake, can be one of the more valuable ones to pick up this early in the game. And gold remains very close at a 3-3 kill score. So far, top lanes was a lot of a source of action for the first couple of games, but now it's been a lot calmer in game number 3.
Pretty much right now, the only difference is the CS gap that is kind of appearing on the top side, plus the CS deficit in mid lane and jungle. But all in all, it's fightable. Like, it's really close. Both teams are still trying to find advantages for themselves, and neither is really giving an extra inch to the other team. Maybe a gank here by Mike Young.
Mike looking to set up. That's actually going to be a hook from Light Pulse that starts things off. Boschetti can just walk back away with the Titan's Wrath, has that shielding. Mike Young hovering once again, does not have the Cyclone yet, but will be able to dash in and get some damage if he needs to. Light Pulse wants the hook, but Rockboom and Boschetti playing respectfully.
Talk about a huge amount of damage, but yeah, they are really not allowing for the Thresh to get as much possible or as much going in their favor. Same could be said for the Nautilus, though, haven't really gotten any hook that is valuable enough to be able to force a play. Now, though,
oh, the hook in onto Gorica. He gets ignited, taking a fair bit, has to blow the heal as well, but will be out safe for now. Mike Young is there to back him up if any potential dive were to occur, so they are going to have to give that one up, but it does mean that their AD carry is not going to be farming. He's got to walk back to lane, and they're crashing this wave.
Really good timing that they went for the play, though. I really like the aggressiveness, and if the Q from the Aphelios hits, more than likely, it's a kill. They get enough damage with the Chakrams plus Ignite, but still really nicely played by both sides, both UCI denying the kill from happening, and St. Clair forcing that out. Now, the bot lane is still pretty equal. Even with Varus losing out on the farm, he's still just 2 CS away from the Aphelios, so not that much difference. Really nice charm.
Another charm landed on a Cinnamon Bread. Akashi now advancing forward, commits his own Ignite. He wants the solo kill, and he's going to get it. Shutdown picked up for Akashi.
The counter kill, really was mad that he didn't get the previous one, and now forces to play with the Ignite really easily to track where the blank is, and they get the kill. Really good by Akashi. Not only has a CS lead, but also has the same kill count, so really close to what Cinnamon Bread has. Actually, it should be ahead.
You would think so. It's now Rift Herald getting started up by St. Clair, but a hook in onto Boschetti to start things up. There's going to be the double Cyclone, and Mike Young picks up the first kill. Now going to get pulled back out. Maddie diving in, going for the ultimate. Elated has thrown down his own slicing Maelstrom. They want to take out Ricky, but the hook doesn't land, and Maddie has already soloed out the opposing jungler. He's got so much damage, but he will get bursted out by a double distortion from Cinnamon Bread. Now it's Ricky LaFleur on the wrong side of dodge, dives back over the wall, trying to trade back onto Elated, but gets hooked and gets taken down. UCI Varsity come out ahead in the fight.
And really nice sidestep there at the end by Elated to evade the potential body slam from the wall from the Gragas. That could have really been the difference between dying and not dying in that play. So really good. They get a couple of kills. The Nautilus really hasn't found any value so far. Meanwhile, Lightpulse has had so many good picks with the Thresh, so many good hooks that have set up for a potential kill, and turning around a bad situation into a good one. Once again, really good by UCI. They will lose a couple of plates though.
Rockboom once again cashing out off of the commitment towards the top side. And he's got Maddie and Akashi to back him up as well. Light Pulse and Gorica going to have to play with their wits about them here. The charm does get blocked by the little rock. Cinnamon Bread is going to crash this wave in mid.
The Croc being the best bro there, protecting both the Thresh and the Varus from getting connected with the charm. Doesn't turn into anything. They're just taking free damage. But in the meanwhile, look at what Rockboom is getting. Oh,
Boschetti goes in for another flash hook. This time he finds Light Pulse, and Light Pulse is going to go down. That's a kill over to Rockboom, and Gorica's the next target. Going so low off the wind becomes lightning, but Akashi can't quite close it out. The flash will keep Gorica safe, but means that Rockboom is again just farming up these turret plates all day long. Devos flash back in from Boschetti. Wants to get on to Cinnamon Bread, but cannot find the hook. It looks like it will be a recall for St. Clair.
Boschetti loves to thread with those hooks. Will go aggressive if the situation requires it and forces some really good plays. But with that, what happened, denying so much from the Varus, they get the first full turret on the bot side. Rockboom gets so much value down there onto the Aphelios, and now also are able to deny so much from Gorica. Really nice play they pull off. Ari didn't lose pretty much anything in the mid lane. Yeah, the Ari is behind by 200 gold, but it's really not that big of a difference when you compare to what is happening bot lane.
Really isn't. And all this money being funneled into Aphelios, that can be such a big difference maker once it comes time for these fights to break out. The Dragon is alive once again, and Maddie is going to be the one to start it up. Getting in Rockboom just trying to fight for mid priority, but they're outnumbered and outgunned right now. Maddie coming over is going to get chased down by Cinnamon Bread. The chain does connect. He gets rooted up. Here comes the dive in from Mike Young, and Maddie is going to get melted down by Gorica.
Really good pick, really nice collapse that they were able to pull through, and it's just because of the advantage in positioning that they had, pushing the wave. Boschetti was in not that good of a spot, same for Rockboom. Maybe they get a hook here onto Rockboom, so he has to be extra careful, but in the meanwhile, Dragon is happening.
Oh no, Chains cannot connect onto Boschetti, but the hook finally will, and here comes Akashi looking to dish out the damage. Gorica's going to be the one who finishes off Boschetti, and Cinnamon Bread is the next target. Akashi looking for another reset, will find it, now in a one-on-one up against Gorica. Elated gets blown back into the wall by the explosive casket. He will get melted down. Meanwhile, Akashi has come out ahead, taking on both carries and coming out with 2 kills for it. St. Clair dominate the fight.
Akashi equals pretty much 2 carries at this point in the game. Oh, wait.
Turning it back around against Mike Young. Mike will be able to do it. He gets the shutdown there. Can't quite stay alive as Akashi.
Big pick onto Akashi. Really unlucky. Akashi didn't have the Foxfire, so couldn't really pull the outplay there. But still, getting the 2 kills onto the 2 carries, especially in a 5v4 situation, there's no jungler here. Remember, Maddie died previously, but it's really interesting how it forces out. Akashi playing on the edge really well. Boschetti is engaged on, but they are still able to play around it really effectively. The Everfrost plus the charm from Akashi is so good. Able to get locked down onto a couple of targets, and also the Ignite once again here, being able to keep track of the LeBlanc. On the other side, we see as long as the cooldowns are up for the area, as soon as they are up, you can go in for the kill, and really easy to get that kill onto the barriers. Almost dying there. Rockboom needs to be extra careful.
And great synchronization there between Boschetti and Akashi. Akashi dives in before the depth charge even comes out, having faith that Boschetti will cast it, knock everybody up, and that this melee range Ahri will not be able to be effectively punished. Crucial there for Akashi to be able to maximize his damage potential and clean up that fight.
Exactly, and we didn't talk much about it, but I also want to give credit to Ricky because arriving to the fight in a really well manner and also finding so much value with his kit. Ooh.
Another hook onto Maddie, but he throws down the Crescent Guard and re-engages. Gorica going to be melted down. Akashi is there for the backup, and Akashi, as you said, that's 2 carries in 1. Going to be able to pick up another one up against UCI.
And respecting the potential from someone else collapsing there doesn't go way too far forward. You already got the kill onto the barriers. That's all that matters. Gorica is dead, and you're able to now keep up the tempo on your side. Haven't taken any more turrets after taking down the bot lane turret, but it's still so much more value on the side of St. Clair as of now. And Akashi really feeling so strong at this point in the game.
Great charm comes out of Akashi there onto Elated. Going to get him to about half HP. Doesn't have the ultimate to full commit, though.
Probably goes for the solo kill. He has the ultimate and the ignite. So we need to keep watching Akashi a bit more. Same with Cinnamon Bread. I like watching the 1v1 between the 2 of them.
Yeah, it's been a spicy one this time. Has definitely gone back and forth a lot more than it did in the first game. Akashi's Ahri continues to be excellent, but Cinnamon Bread has matched it blow for blow wherever possible. Maddie roaming around towards this mid lane. Another hook comes out. This time does not connect. Cinnamon Bread, though, lurking, looking for an angle on a Rockboom.
Already taking quite a bit of damage. Any burst that you can bring onto these affiliates, there's no shield bow, there's nothing yet to protect from a potential burst. So you have to be extra careful as Rockboom. You may have cleanse for the cannon, but you have no protection for burst.
Definitely.
Side event.
Could end up spelling death for somebody and could spin the whole game on its head if a crucial target gets picked off. Cinnamon Bread looking for the snare, gets it onto Boschetti, who hooks himself out of position and has to flash back.
Yeah, and with no more members here, 3v4, they are not gaining the turret actually really well by Cinnamon Bread there to be able to close out the turret.
Oh, potential execute onto Gorica. He has to flash away from Moonlight Vigil. Rockboom pulls the trigger, hook in onto Mike Young. He's got the collapse for Ricky LaFleur as well. And St. Clair pick off the jungler yet again, ready to set up and move up towards this potential Baron, the potential mid lane turret, whatever they can get for themselves.
The Barris is way too low. I don't think it's really easy here to be able to protect it all. Engage,
that's a huge slicing Maelstrom out of Elated. Melts down Maddie. Ricky's too low as well. Goes down to the turret shot. Plus Gorica and UCI, they answer the pick and turn.
Yeah, they may have had an advantage in numbers, but the cannon Maelstrom is way too big for comfort there, and it nets them as really good teamfight victory. Oh, Akashi.
She looking to turn it back, but Cinnamon Bread flashes in, detonates his mark.
Whoa.
Ignite is barely not enough, but here comes Rock Boom to try to clean things up. They are able to get far enough away to keep themselves safe, and nobody else is going to drop.
How did Akashi survive that? It shouldn't have been that easy for Akashi to escape there. Almost dies in that play, almost going to be another good kill for Cinnamon Bread, but the fight doesn't turn much worse than it is. They don't get the mid lane turret, they still get the 1-for-1, well actually 2-for-1 overall, because they did get Mike Young, but they lost 2 members, and now it's going to be a fight for the next dragon, pretty much. This is soul point for them, by the way.
Would be for St. Clair. This game feels like it's gone on for so much longer than it has. Maybe it's the crash, maybe it's the pauses. But Baron not even alive yet. I called they could go for Baron off that last fight. That's definitely not the case. It just feels like they've been going blow for so long. It's 22 kills in 18 minutes. Everybody's so accelerated ahead of where they would have otherwise been. And now potentially third dragon fight breaking out. St. Clair, they're going to just sacrifice it, though. They're going up towards the top side to get up onto this Rift Herald.
Yeah, they have no positioning. They have no... Ricky was pushing topside as well, so they know that they don't have the numbers advantage nor the vision control to be able to fight it. I think it's a smarter approach into this. It's a Cloud Soul. Yes, it's the soul point for you, but it's also a dragon that you can try and get later on. Like, it's not important to be able to secure it. In the meanwhile, you can get top lane turret, you can get mid lane turret for free. Oh, flash.
When it becomes lightning lands, it needs to be flashed away from, but nice dodges from Maddie, avoids the hook, avoids the chains of corruption. Now is going to have to try to sneak his way out of there without having access to those tools. He'll be able to get away for now. Rock Boom takes a chunk from Cinnamon Bread, but returns a chunk in turn and has that Bloodthirster to keep sustained up. Akashi loses a fair bit to a snipe from Gorica.
Yeah, and here the poke damage from the Varus is really going to be felt. Now that he has more lethality items to his name, more points to the queue, more damage on his side, can really begin threatening some of those members that don't really have any armor. And when you look at the items on each side, there's only one member that has armor on its own, and it's Varsity.
Sketty, the one who has to be tanking those up. Or, you know, preferably everybody gets to dodge them. That would be an acceptable answer as well for the St. Clair roster, as they do find their way onto Light Pulse here. He face checks a spot that is not his, and he is going to get chased down. Akashi picks up another one.
He could have kept on following with the ultimate, but decides not to go over the aggressive. In the meanwhile, with Varsity dead, with Light Pulse dead, they get the push with the Rift Herald, and that's going to be another turret in their favor. Really nice small sequence of events from St. Clair, being able to not only control the top side of the map, getting the top lane turret, but also getting a pick. Really nice positioning by Varsity, and even though they lost the bot lane turret, it was a turret for a turret, and after that another turret to add on top of that. Good value, good rotations. Now with extra gold, almost close to that Infinity Edge, the Aphelios is going to be such a big menace.
Eyes on Rock Boom. He has been unleashed since being taken off that Varus in game number 1. Had a great game number 2, and now is poised to be a big carry threat in game number 3 as well. Flash over the wall. Varsity pulls the trigger. They find Cinnamon Bread, and they cut him down. Maddie gets another.
No fear at all. Nothing from Varsity there. Decides to commit to the play, goes in, gets the damage, gets the kill into the LeBlanc, and it's Cinnamon Bread dead for at least 20 more seconds. That can be the Baron. Do they have enough damage? It's not the best weapons for Aphelios though.
Locking down onto this Baron. It's already at half HP. Mike Young getting marked by Akashi. Akashi will chase him to the ends of the earth to make sure he's not going to be able to smite steal this Baron, but he finds his way back over to the pit. He could go over the wall. 3 members get hit by the Cyclone, but here comes Akashi to try to clean them up. The smite comes down for Mike Young to claim it for California Irvine as a 2-for-2 fight continues on. Gorica snipes down onto Ricky. Maddie now has dove too far up. He's going to get cut down as well. Akashi is the last one standing as UCI steal the Baron and win the fight.
Complete and utter disaster for St. Clair. That should have been a straightforward victory for them, but a massive entrance from Light Pulse to bring forward the cannon to just win the fight. That's it. Like, that's the difference maker. Nobody else matters in this fight, and I will point it out. You cannot say to me that Varus or Wukong were important. It's completely on light pulse. This hook to the Baron into getting in with the cannon, that's the massive play. That's what wins them this fight, and it's completely on both of them. Really good setup, really good play they pull off. They also steal the Baron in the meanwhile, and there's nothing that St. Clair can do after this point. Great play from UCI to turn a bad situation into an amazing one. It's not a good one, it's an amazing one. They get a teamfight victory and the Baron to close it out.
They are now the ones in control over this game, and Light Pulse is looking to show it. Chasing on to Rockboom, flash play, lockdown from Cinnamon Bread, and a kill onto the crucial carry. They're gonna get Ricky as well as he desperately tries to defend his bot laner. 2 more down for St. Clair. California Irvine fully in the driver's seat.
This Baron really was the turning point of the game. The team fight victory into now another pick onto Rockboom. With no flash, there's no escape possible that you can pull off here, and that's going to be more damage onto the base. Potentially the inhibitor, not sure what else they can get here, but it's going to be so much damage onto St. Clair with just a 20-something minute Baron.
Huge play there by UCI, and now Akashi trying to pull something back. It's a 3-man route, but is not going to be able to claim anything else, and Cinnamon Bread is going to start hunting for him. Wants to pull this game back around, is so crucial for him, but Maddie is just getting engaged on, has to throw down the Crescent Guard, but this is not going to last forever. It's expired now, and Akashi on a deep flank gets hooked by Light Pulse. He feeds him on the ward, he reads the play, and he crushes the St. Clair mid laner.
So, are we banning Thresh next game? Because so far both supports played amazingly, and Rockboom survives by the skin of the state, but this game feels like it's close to being over. Another potential kill here, and they are going to keep on running in the base.
Mike Young spins to win and claims Boschetti as well. Now 3 members of St. Clair are left to defend the base up against this Baroned up California Irvine squad. They decide that they're not going to win it right here. They don't think they have the power. They're going to claim themselves the dragon and keep this game going.
May not be the win just yet, but it's really feeling like it's close for UCI. They're going to collect the next dragon. They are going to at least make it so that the soul will be delayed for a bit more, but the value that they are finding this game is way too much. With just a bit of control, they're able to push the issue and get themselves into such a marvelous spot. Gorica was in such a bad spot when the game started. I think it was 1-3 at some point, and then 9-3 out of nowhere.
Just rocketed out to a lead here, Gorica, in these last couple of fights. Finally, UCI get the kind of 5-on-5s that they want. They get engages from Light Pulse and Mike Young. They don't get picked off by Akashi or Boschetti. And that's all it takes for them to take complete control over the game. Now with an inhibitor in mid, they're just fishing around, setting up vision in the enemy jungle, looking for more picks. Another solid fight like they had previously will end the game.
It really will. They have the push in their favor. They have the inhibitor down in the mid lane, and they have right now a lot of body on their side. Rockboom did complete the IE though as of now, so maybe that's the difference maker that they need to pull off the victory this game. But with the lead that UCI has, I feel like it's not enough just yet. They need to buy themselves a bit more time, it feels like. Also, there's I just realized this and kind of went over my head, but there's no cleanse for there's no exhaust for the cannon. So the full damage of the cannon will come through each and every fight.
True, Akashi did not go for the unsealed spellbook this time. He went for the ignite, he went for the lane domination. Didn't even find it that much either, and now this team is going to find themselves with no way of accessing that wave, shutting down the cannon. He's 4-1-5, he's got 3 items. He is a huge damage threat onto these carries. They're going to need to get him out of there with an explosive cask or something.
They need to be able to push him away or burst him out before he even gets a chance to do it.
That would be the answer. Nice pull to safety there from Light Pulse, gets Cinnamon Bread out of dodge. Boschetti hovering around, looking for these big hook engages that have defined his gameplay so far this game. Not going to find it this time. The wave gets cleared away by UCI. As St. Clair setting up around the Baron. This Baron might be the stage for the fight that decides this game.
There's also another difference right now that is kind of really big for the side of St. Clair. Ricky is really not in a good spot. He's 1-4, only has one full item completed. Meanwhile, the Kennen has 3. And really, we haven't seen much from Gragas apart from that one fight in the river where they got a couple of kills and the dragon. It's really not been the best game for Ricky so far, and really important because he was one of the main strong points, stopping Elated in the previous games and having a huge tank to the fight everyone. But this is something that we talked about. Gragas is not a tank or at least he doesn't get played as a full tank anymore.
And there's a draft influencer for the rest of the series, too. This champion perma-banned before this series. Now that it's here, it's not doing much. And neither is Maddie, who's been hooked back in and shut down right at the start of the fight. Here comes the flank angle from Elated, slicing Maelstrom onto 2. Slices him to pieces. Cinnamon Bread destroys Rockboom. St. Clair College, 4 men down. UCI Varsity are looking for game number 3.
Yeah, that's going to be, they're going to try and persecute onto Akashi to get the last kill, but it's going to be it. 4 men down, everyone alive on the side of UCI. Akashi more than likely dying here as well. And with the ace, it's going to be 3rd game going into the favor of UCI. 2-1 in the scoreboard and potentially just 1 game away from winning the grand finals.
And it's this Kennen pick that I've been begging them for all series long, TDS. It is so critical in these team fights. They have no answers to it on St. Clair without being able to set up the Gragas barrel. And these respawns are not going to be enough unless Rockboom can pull off a miracle. Stepping forward, red and white guns, low health bars for UCI. Can Rockboom be the hero? No! He trades 1 for 1, and he trades 1 for Nexus. UCI win game 3.
He may have gotten the life from Gorica, but it cost them the Nexus. Well, the Nexus was going to explode anyway, but let's be realistic here. But what a game and what a turnaround from UCI in a spot where realistically they should have lost. That Baron, if it gets played a little bit better from St. Clair, it's Baron into now complete domination from St. Clair, and they can try and close out the game after that. But when Kennen finally joined the fight truthfully and great, he finds a perfect angle thanks to light pulse that brings the Kennen forward. That turns the game completely on its head. They get the Baron, they get the damage, and they are able to now not only get a complete control over the map, but the fights turn on its head as well. They begin to be able to find the affiliates in the team fights, destroy him, and not really allow for Rockboom to do anything in the fights.
Excellent game across the board for UCI. Every member carrying their weight when they need to. Akashi, again, with a terrific early to mid game on the Ahri, cannot pull it through into this later game. And you got to wonder what this does to the draft priority going forward. I mean, this Gragas, it needed to be permabanned against St. Clair, or so we thought. But they let it through in this game number 3, and it just doesn't accomplish very much.
It's not as strong as we expected, or at least maybe not in the top lane, right? Maybe it's more of a pick to send towards the jungle or the mid lane, because it feels like Ricky has had way more value when he doesn't need to go or deal damage to anything. He can be a perfect neutralizer, but be the big rock that stands in front of everyone and survives long enough. That's probably the best way to play around for St. Clair, and maybe that's going to be the big difference that we're going to see going into game 4. It's Ricky just staying on tanks, or on tank duty at least.
Perhaps could be the change here. We'll see if they do want to run back that Gragas, and we'll see what their plan is to deal with Elated's Kennen, if that is a strategy that they continue to take forward. We're going to throw it to a quick break here while we get into draft for game number 4, but we will be back soon as UCI is on match point. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL Grand Finals, where California Irvine are now up 2-1 over St. Clair College. They are one win away from claiming themselves an ACL title.
And it's really close. It's in their grasp to be able to pull it off. I still think that St. Clair has it in them. The previous game was really close. It was in favor of St. Clair as well until a certain point, and then the Baron kind of really turned the tables on its head. But if St. Clair can find their stride, it can really find a good setup that they can play around with, and I think can return back to their success strategies in the first game, can really pull it off this time around.
And they had a lead for a while there in game number 3. They were really set up to be able to be the ones who are now on match point, but a
Yep.
great team fight around that cannon, great plays by the side of Light Pulse to get him into position are what ends up turning that game around and are what ends up getting UCI that second win.
And it's important to consider because, like you were pointing out in the previous game and throughout the series, the cannon pick, it really was important to bring forward, and it delivered when it mattered. So is it going to affect the draft now? Is it going to get banned away? Is it going to get picked away? What is it going to be the situation here? Because now on red side, it should be banned by the side of UCI. But if they don't expect Ricky to play it at all, or if they don't think he's capable of playing at all, as we saw with the Gragas that it was a bit more difficult to play with compared to the Scion, then they can try and leave it open and pick it for themselves if they really feel like it.
They definitely could. This could really turn a lot of the draft on its head here, right? I
Yep.
mean, it's been the Gragas ban the whole way through. This has been one of the picks that they would not let St. Clair get for the first 2 games, and now it's looking like it might not be all that scary. The Jinx ban could be the new hotness here, and really starts to throw into question, what do you get rid of if you're St. Clair? Because now do you feel like you need to ban away that cannon? Do you feel like you need to ban away the Thresh or put more priority on the Thresh yourself, in which case you might risk giving over the Aphelios? And then you don't have either of the big hyper carries. There's so many layers to be questioned here, and it's really hard to try to plan out all of this stuff in just the short amount of time in between games. You get all week long to plan for game number 1, but now as the series draws farther and
Yep.
farther, you got to improvise a lot more.
Series play is always this. It's always really fun to see because a mini meta forms inside of it. Like, it's not even just the normal picks that we see inside of the same game. One pick out of nowhere could become contested, could become really powerful, and drop everything on its head. Change everything, every dynamic that you were preparing, anything that you were thinking about could really be changed by just a pick that randomly appears on the series overall. So it's really interesting. And we haven't even talked about the fact that now Thresh also has a 2-0 win rate. Both support players have played Thresh, both to great success. Both have been able to deliver on the champion. Does that change the way that they opt into that as well? Do they want to be more aggressive, more proactive picking the Thresh? Do they go for better pairings with the Thresh as well? Those things are going to change the dynamic of the bands now and of the picks now, and it's a lot on what they feel comfortable playing. I feel like comfortability is going to be the biggest thing going into these last 2 games.
Well, that's the other thing, right? That was like a stolen away Thresh. This wasn't even like an optimized
Yeah.
Thresh pairing. This was a Thresh Varus lane. And not like that's unplayable or anything, but it's not one of those big respected Thresh duos that you see series in and series out. This was specifically to deny it from the side of UCI. At least that's how we read it. And
Yeah.
it still ended up paying off dividends. So now with St. Clair back on the blue side, let's see how they're going to react as this series goes on.
We have to see how it ends up performing here now. The bands coming through the same 3 bands we saw in the previous games. Nothing has changed just yet. We'll now give an opportunity to maybe see a new band coming through. The Lilia is still the same, so it's not going to be changed. I'm still surprised with the Elise band. Honestly, Elise feels like one of those champions that you really should be able to let go.
I mean, and maybe we're a little biased because we saw it be unsuccessful in the Des
Sure.
Moines series. But it is still Mike Young. It is still his Elise. It is still a champion he has a crazy high pick rate on. As you can see, though, that Jinx ban, that's perma now. We no longer need to ban the Gragas for the side of UCI. They are going to change that up. And a Maokai first pick could be the angle for St. Clair. They did not like how things worked out with that Xin Zhao. They're going back to that Wukong Maokai jungle meta that we've been seeing for the first few games.
And it was the ban in the previous game they traded for the Ezreal. So now they are able to pick it. They are going to get the first pick here. I think it was going to be between the Maokai or the Jinx if UCI decided to ban the Maokai themselves. So it makes sense the pick that they go for here. once again, with the barriers being open, why not go for it? It worked really well for Gorica after a certain point, and they can optimize for a better bot lane matchup here if they really feel like it. But probably they are going to opt into a jungler here. Wukong is the primordial one, although I wouldn't mind if they go for something like a Sejuani, but it's Wukong.
It's Wukong. It's Wukong Maokai all day long, and I'm expecting a third pick Kennen here if St. Clair doesn't steal it away. And I don't think they will. I mean, it's not really what they put Ricky on. At least it's not how they've been utilizing Ricky for the last period of time. It's been mostly about him on those tanks, been mostly about him playing at least a more weak side style. Even when it's Gragas, who doesn't necessarily go full tank, it's still him in a utility role while they want to play around bot side instead. St. Clair hovering this Tristana. This could be Akashi's Tristana in the mid lane, or maybe they want to keep it alive as a flex pick between him and Rockboom. And then if you're gonna prioritize the Thresh, like we've been suggesting, I think this would be the place to do it.
True, and I think if it depends on the support as well, where the Tristana is going. If it's a hard engaged support, I could say just going immediately into the bot lane. But I would love to see them playing around the flex potential. They are going to keep the Irelia as well. So playing around full flexibility here with both the Tristana and Irelia. Not yet known if it's mid lane or top lane. Not yet known if it's bot lane or mid lane with the Tristana either. Really nice decision here. And if they go for the Kennen, Irelia is not a bad matchup against it.
For sure. The Irelia. We've seen it banned before this series. This time will be locked in. That one's almost certainly for Akashi. I mean, I would not expect it to be going up to Ricky, in which case this does mean it's likely a Tristana bot lane. Here's this Kennen. They're just going to lock it in. They're saying, hey, you know, elated 3-0 this week on the Kennen, where we've been able to lock it in. At least 3-0. I don't know. Maybe they're playing in other leagues. Maybe they're playing in scrims. Who knows? But it's been terrific for them when we've gotten to see it. And now it gets paired up with the Wukong for the double AoEs, or it gets paired up with the Wukong again, I guess I should say, as it was very helpful for them last game. And we're going to see how St. Clair feels like they can answer this. The Irelia is something new. The Tristana will be another tool to push that Kennen out of the fight if it does come down to that. But is that going to be enough?
At least that's what they think it's possible to be enough to pull it off. Who knows if it's going to be. I think Elated has found really good angles to be able to pull off the Kennen anyway, so probably not going to be that big of a deal, but we've yet to see how in game it performs. The ban's still coming through, the Heimerdinger as well as the Sion. I think the Sion potentially an earned ban as well here to take away from the tank value from Ricky. No, not bad options, and they can deny them quite well. Instead of opting for the Silas, really interesting. Thinking that this may be potentially a top lane Irelia, which I wouldn't discount, but potentially playing with the flex of the Silas, and I do think that with ultimates like the Kennens and Wukongs makes sense to take away from this Silas though.
And I'm pinching the support pool now, taking away some of those poke-centric supports. We will see if they want to save a counter pick for Cinnamon Bread here. They can assume that they're up against Irelia mid and just try to pick mid here and then save that last pick for Light Pulse. That is kind of the strategy that St. Clair adopted on the red side last game. Or they could lock in a support here. Covering the Malphite could be a flex of the Kennen between mid and top, perhaps.
I think it's Soup. I think it's Malphite's up, actually. I really think, and because they will now know the pick in mid lane and top lane here thanks to this rotation. There's chance that now you give Cinnamon Bread the counter pick. Well, actually, it could be also the Malphite in the mid lane. If it's Irelia mid lane, Malphite mid lane is not a bad option. You go for
you can also, I mean, Kennen mid's been a thing in the past. You could play the Kennen mid as well and take the Malphite up the top. So, could be moving some things around. Mordekaiser being hovered by Ricky will be locked in. I mean, this would be very effective up against a Malphite.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, they are picking to try and move around what it's being drafted so far for them. We need to remember that they can still flex around inside of the game as well, so maybe we don't get those matches. But Mordekaiser against Malphite, not a bad matchup. I think Mordekaiser against Kennen as well can be quite good because you can take away the Kennen ultimate from the team fight and at least say salvage the situation for your team really effectively. And the Rakan, we haven't seen much attention to Rakan this whole series, so now for the first time we get the opportunity to see it, and maybe Muschetti can try and carry it through with the champion. But now there's a counter pick here, or a support pick here potentially for Light Pulse as well. Yeah,
Melio is available if you do want to pair it with the Varus. It is good into the Rakan. Could also see a chance for something a little spicier. Kog'Maw support is available if they want to pair it up. Renata Glass does end up being the choice. So they really want to go all in on this team fight. I mean, they have the Malphite, Kennen, Wukong, Renata, Wombo combo, and they are all in on AoE team fighting for the side of UCI.
Well, last game it worked for them, right? They pressed R and they won multiple fights through that mainly. So wouldn't be mad against going for the same resources, trying to accomplish a teamfight victory. And Malphite, Kennen, and Renata have great team fighting value. I think Renata, particularly this game, is going to be great, especially if she is able to get the ultimate onto the Irelia and the Tristana. If they hit between themselves, that's going to be so much damage that you're already taking away from the rest of your team.
Yeah, and now the mid-top flexing between both of these teams, everything is on the table, right? I mean, you could play Kennen mid, you could play Kennen top, you could play Malphite mid, you could play Malphite top. Same things are true for Irelia and Mordekaiser, especially when you're trying to predict where Kennen and Mordekaiser are going and get yourself the more favorable matchups. You want the Irelia into the Kennen, you want the Mordekaiser into the Malphite. UCI certainly wants the opposite.
There's at least two clear things. Tristana and Rakan are going bot lane, and Varus and Renata are going bot lane. That's the most straightforward
hear me out
thing
here. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out.
Oh no.
You go Varus mid, Kennen 80 carry.
See, that's a thing that I'm expecting to see when the new Rage Blade comes out. That's what I'm expecting to see at that point. As of now, maybe not the best thing possible.
No,
maybe
it's not gonna happen. I would not put any faith in that. But you're right. It is probably going to be the Renata and the Varus bot lane. I do wonder how they want to assign these picks to players as well, by the way. I can see on the incline draft here. So Ricky has locked in the Mordekaiser, and Elated has locked in the Malphite. So it looks like, at least players-wise, that St. Clair is getting the matchups they want.
Honestly, it feels kind of weird that they are not sending the Kennen to Elated. Not because it's like his choice or anything like that, but I feel like Elated just playing the Kennen feels a bit more comfortable, especially because he has already pulled it off multiple times this week. So why not keep the same player playing the same champion? And then I think that you want to keep the Malphite into the Irelia, you know? Like, Mordekaiser Malphite is a really good matchup for the Mordekaiser. You don't get itemization that you want as the Malphite because you want to build the armor, and instead you have to go for magic resistance. And then laning phase wise, you can get traded really effectively by the Mordekaiser. You can take away from the Irelia value though. So I would hope to see them try and play Irelia Mord, and then Irelia Malphite, and then Mord Kennen if they are on UCI side.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing too, right? Is on top of champion flexes, you can also do player flexes. I mean, you can move your player into a different position and have them just, pilot the champion of your choice in the lane of your choice. So I mean, you could always send Cinnamon Bread on the Kennen up towards top lane and Elated on the Malphite towards mid. That's something I remember. Evil Geniuses did that last year for one game and then never again. You remember that? They had put Jojo Q in top on Lucian to play against Whippo for one game, and then they never did it again, ever.
I remember those were really weird situations. Those lane swaps when you really don't trade like champions but just move around randomly to see what happens. I think in NACL it happened as well. I think I saw a game of that. So it's a weird situation, but if it works, it works. I won't argue against it if you are able to make it work out. It's just it's too much moving around. And then it can happen during game that because you end up moving from each place more than once, you lose out on CS, you lose out on experience, you lose out on potential kills, and it can just benefit the team that just plays straightforward and plays in the same lane every game, all the game, I mean.
Could turn on a lot of factors here, right? I mean, I like the Renata pick into the Rakan. I do think UCI have come out with a favorable bot lane matchup due to how they've drafted here, although the all-in potential of the Tristana cannot be discarded, and I know Rockboom is a big Tristana player. I believe this is his most played in solo queue. Yeah, absolutely. He's got 159 Tristana games in solo queue this season. Gets banned against him quite a bit. Hasn't really been busting it out on the ACL stage very much, but is going to here decide that, hey, we need a little bit of an X factor in this game. We are going to give a really powerful comfort pick to our bot laner. We're also going to give one to Akashi. I mean, Irelia is his most played in solo queue as well. They are really looking to prioritize getting some comfort for these carry players and say, hey, we think we're better player for player. If we can get these matchups that we like, we can win the game.
And I think that's a big thing. We need to remember this is all this is the last potential game we can get. Like,
Could be.
if they win it, there's still another one, but last potential game for St. Clair. If they lose here, they lose in the grand finals, UCI is picture. So pulling out comfort for your last potential game, I think it's the right choice. That can at least alleviate some of the mishaps that happened in the previous game and set you up in motion to potentially go towards that last game and try and win it. You want to be as comfortable as possible, as relaxed as possible with the champions that you know how to play, and try and perform to your best level. So I'm not against them trying to pull these champions that they have played time and time again and that they know that they can pull off.
Yeah, and meanwhile, UCI, I mean, perhaps riding some momentum here, relying on SCC being on the back foot. They have a very simple composition this game. I mean, they are... Yeah. I'm interested to see what kind of Varus they go for, because it could be the on-hit Varus to support the team fighting, or it could be the poke Varus that they've gone for more traditionally. You know, when they've had these Kennen Varus compositions, it has been the poke Varus most of the time. But this time around, they're going all-in wombo combo. They've got the Malphite. They don't really have a lot of damage coming in from top. Or from mid, depending on where you assign the Malphite.
Depending on where it is.
So I wonder if it is going to be DPS Varus here for Gorica, and how that changes up how they're going to be able to play it out.
It's interesting. I think that on hit here, particularly because of the Mordekaiser and the Maokai and the Irelia as well to a certain degree, wouldn't be a bad choice. Like, as soon as they collapse into the barriers, having the shield wall, which is typically the build path that he takes, giving him that extra shield is always really good to try and get the survivability or long enough time to be able to out attack. And in this game where there's so much things that are going to take attention away from the barriers, he probably will get enough opportunities to out attack. So if he goes for that, probably going to be really good to stack up the damage and try and destroy some of those targets. But at the same time, that also means that he has to be close to the Irelia, to the Mordekaiser, to the Rakan, and that may turn on its head. So we have to wait and see how it goes for him, but I feel like this game is probably the better option overall.
Definitely. I really like what we've got coming into this draft here. I mean, St. Clair going for what they need with their backs up against the wall, really prioritizing this comfort, really prioritizing the ability to play champions that they know inside and out, and with a strategy of being able to play through these side lanes super effectively. UCI with these all-in team fight comps. I see you smiling there, TDS. Is this because, yeah, it's a pause, baby. It's a pause.
Yeah.
We got a little more time.
It's okay. 4 games in a row, it's fine. It happens. Wouldn't be an ACL stream without a pause. So it's okay. We get more time to think about the huge amount of ultimate value that a Kennen and Malphite will get. It could be a Malphite AP, by the way. We haven't talked much about it, but it could be a Malphite full AP and just try and blow up someone with the ultimate.
It could be. It could be. I mean, I think that pick is not even that bad. But Cinnamon Bread does have the Grasp of the Undying, so I think it's unlikely to occur here.
Yeah,
LS in shambles, no AP Malphite this time around.
Would have been really nice to end up seeing the Malphite try and pull it off, but it is elated with the Kennen. It is Cinnamon Bread with the Malphite, which kind of expected because of the players that are playing the champions. And then it's going to be this sort of waiting game. They want to have vision down so that they can send the better matchups towards each lane.
We are getting set up here. Going to be another calmer early game. No 5-man setup from SCC this time around. They are just going to be poking their heads in. Maddie maybe looking like he wants to get himself a little bit of vision, but thinks better of it. Cinnamon Bread would be waiting in the wings if he did go in there.
Would have been a really interesting play if it actually works out. But look at that, they are just waiting. They are just playing the waiting game to see where they want to allocate their players and their champions to a better spot. And they also have the clear just in case they were going to get spotted.
Ashi going to assume his position in mid, and they are going to end up with the matchups they were. Oh, by the way, we didn't even comment on this. They swapped the champions back. Elated's on Kennen, Cinnamon Bread's on Malphite.
Yep. Going to be the players that play the champion, I would say, or at least on the Elated's case. I'm not sure if Cinnamon Bread has played the Malphite.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I do like the Malphite mid. We saw other team, was it Middlesticks who busted it out in their last match in the ACL? They like went oops all top laners comp. They played like 4 bruisers.
Yeah, I think it was. And they actually, didn't they stump an Irelia?
It wasn't an Irelia. It was some other melee matchup, though, I thought.
It was a mid lane,
Oh, no,
mid
no,
lane,
no,
I
no. It
think.
was like a Cassiopeia or something, right? I
Oh,
don't
it
know.
was.
We'd
Yeah,
have to
I'm
we'd
trying
have to
to
go back
remember
and
it.
look through the VODs. Go check out the Aegis YouTube channel if you really want to know for sure. But
But we did
regardless,
get
it's
a
not our
Malphite
first
mid
Malphite
lane.
mid of the ACL.
Yeah, it already happened, and it's really good.
Was pretty successful, did get pretty fed, nearly carried the game, ran out of damage. Now they've got Elated and Gorica, they got multiple carries, and Akashi really getting punished here by that Malphite mid. Cinnamon Bread looking like he might want the
Oh.
solo kill. He gets ignited though. Akashi taking the fight to him. Akashi gets first blood, but gets traded back by Mike Young.
It's the 1-for-1 at the end, but Akashi is the one that gets the kill. Meanwhile, the Malphite, yes, it died. Mike Young does get the counter kill, but really good start for the Irelia. Doesn't have the teleport, so we will be a bit late to get to the lane, but having that first kill, really, really good, especially on your star player, on Akashi that has been performing all night.
Yeah, net gold, it's in favor of St. Clair, but as far as the actual impact to the game, it's really kind of different from both teams, right? Akashi now stronger in the one-on-one, not as countered out by the Malphite, but Mike Young with the kill can spread that lead around the map more easily. Cinnamon Bread, he's just abandoning mid now. He's just looking to support Mike in this invade. No, flash over the wall from Boschetti. He finds himself face to face with Cinnamon Bread. The red buff is down, but Akashi gets a double stun with the flawless duet. Flash over the wall from Mike Young, looking to fight this one out. Gorica snipes down Boschetti. Akashi's the next target as Cinnamon Bread is looking to smack him down with the Malphite autos, and he does so. It's a 2-for-1 fight for UCI.
Mike Young may have died, but his spirit will live on because they get a couple of really good kills down there. They get value onto the Malphite, onto the Varus, and really scrappy start to the game. Both teams wanting to fight as much as possible, and we can see here how it goes. Boschetti jumping over the wall really aggressively with the flash, but still has the W because he flashed over. He has the perfect setup. 2-man stun by Akashi in a really good manner, and if not for the pull away, it could have been much, much better for the side of St. Clair. But the revive from the Renata allows for extra time for Mike Young to stay alive, and also the flash here by Light Pulse.
Oh, well played there, and the thunderclap from Cinnamon Bread. The Malphite damage, not to be underestimated, coming very close in these fights with Irelia now twice in a row. This time does manage to get the kill. Kashi now 1 and 2, still with a CS lead, still likely with a gold lead over Cinnamon Bread, but not getting the cash out there. If he had gotten 1 or 2 kills in that fight, he would be really set up to snowball out of control on this Irelia.
100%, that could have been a really, really big difference maker. At the end, it doesn't turn out like that, so for UCI, really lucky that it didn't go that badly for them. And then, even though Akashi is trying to set up for a lot of damage here, maybe a small fight here between both supports.
Nope. Sports roaming up towards mid, Light Pulse. Always making sure to hover around Cinnamon Bread and provide him that support. Boschetti learning to match it as this series goes on, and Rock Boom going to be actually left alone to get himself a turret plate there. This is where Tristana thrives.
That's Tristana's dream, to be able to hit the turret by herself and get so much damage that you get the plate. Already getting 1, probably going to be able to do that multiple times the longer the game goes, so not going to be a bad situation for them. Ooh.
Kashi ticks up to level 6, does have the Vanguard's Edge, commits it, looking for a solo kill up against Cinnamon Bread, and finds it, but will go down to the turret. It's a 1-for-1.
The only big thing there is that it was a 1-for-1 with Akashi getting the ultimate before Cinnamon Bread. But as soon as Cinnamon Bread has level 6, I can see them just going into the mid lane with the ultimate, with Mike Young, and trying to get a kill onto the Irelia.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a cost-benefit analysis there for Akashi, right? If he sees Mike Young and so decides to die out of the turret, if Mike Young hadn't been there, he could probably just walk it out. And he's probably willing to give this gold to the tank. He knows he's going to make more use of it on this Irelia come the later team fights. He's just willing to say, yeah, let's just agree. We'll give each other 300 gold.
That's true. Like, the biggest risk would be if they get the kill onto Irelia without really accomplishing much after, right? So probably going to be the most beneficial for Akashi to keep on getting those kills, keep on stacking onto himself, and even if Malphite gets a bit strong, as long as Akashi is stronger, it shouldn't really matter.
Absolutely. Cinnamon Bread. We'll see if he can get to the point where Akashi can't really kill him, and where he comes out ahead in these trades. I mean, obviously that would make quite a difficult time for the Irelia, but I don't believe we're at that point yet. Don't know if we'll ever necessarily get to that point at all. He's working his way onto a Blade of the Ruined King. He's going to have those anti-tank itemizations. The Irelia passive going to give him that true damage as well. Going to be tough for Cinnamon Bread.
Yeah, it's going to be really fun to be playing against Akashi's Irelia when she's not only going to be really strong, but also because the Malphite will take quite a while before he gets really good armor items. And then looking at the rest of the team, the only one that is ahead right now in a kind of effective manner is Elated. Bot lane is behind in terms of both kills, farm, and CS, and turret plates. So not like you have a good advantage that you can play with down there. And then Rockboom is going to begin dealing quite a bit of damage when he begins moving around the map as well.
Absolutely. And already rotating up towards mid, looking to punish this melee mid in Cinnamon Bread. He's going to try to hammer down this wave. They're actually setting up for the Rift Herald as well. Akashi's already moved his way up there. Will give some alone time with the turret to Gorica and the Light Pulse, but a great setup here from the side of St. Clair. They should be able to claim this objective pretty easily.
Yeah, having the advantage moving around first, having the control, will give them the first Rift Herald. Interesting, this is the first time I think we have first Rift Herald before first Dragon taken. Could turn into a much more value because now you're getting not only the control over the Rift Herald, but also pushing a wave and having the enemy team answer onto you. Although my young as of now is taking the Dragon, so it's going to be a 1-for-1.
As we suspected, Gorica working on that on-hit Varus build, already has the Noon Quiver completed and will be happy to be picking up additional turret plates. Kashi continues to trade with Cinnamon Bread. Coming out ahead in these trades, has a level advantage as well. Those plated steel caps, not enough on their own to shrug off the amount of damage Irelia can deal when not stopped. And Gorica, maybe roaming out a bit far here, does throw down the ultimate, but it's going to be forced to cleanse flash over the wall as Boschetti is ready to lock him down for a 4-man squad. UCI down the summoners in bot lane now.
Double summoner used there by Gorica to not get completely destroyed, and it's a respectable play. You have to flash and cleanse away, because if not, you're probably going to get exploded by the Tristana. Still really good movement by St. Clair to be able to collapse into Gorica and be able to put pressure. Yes, they may have lost the dragon, but they are still finding good plays around the map.
And Cinnamon Bread still just falling farther and farther behind CS wide in mid lane. Did have to take another recall there. He's down 20 now. Will equalize a little bit of it with the wave, but yeah, he's down 20. He's down 19 CS. Looking to roam around the map, looking to try to find ways to make plays with Mike Young, but so far not many have presented themselves.
It's like it should fall into maybe a small fight, a small team fight to really turn around the situation. If they can find a good angle to force a play maybe on bot lane or on mid lane and try and shut down Akashi, then they could try and find the turret plates and things like that in favor of Gorica. But as of now, it's really going to be difficult to find them.
Getting tough for UCI here in this early game. They do have a very slight gold lead overall. Akashi in mid lane needs to be respected. Maddie roaming around here as well, looking for another chance to get his mid laner further into this game, further snowballing. As they do trade back and forth. Mike Young is going for a recall right now. There is no chance of support here for Cinnamon Bread, as they are going to look to possibly just take the fight. Cinnamon Bread far enough away, he does not commit.
And has ultimate and flash. Pretty difficult to try and gank them out like when it's so close to turret and has both escape tools. But this could be the play instead, a dive down here in the bot lane.
Maddie, Akashi, both present, would be a 4-man dive. Mike Young making his way there from base. They decide not to commit for it. No dragon or anything to be taken yet, so looks like it will just be a return to business as usual.
Feels like the game, or at least the early fights, even though it was a chaotic start to say the least, has been able to balance itself out really well, and neither team really wants to commit for plays that they know could be completely disastrous, and as I say that, they are fighting.
Yeah, Kashi and Cinnamon Bread trade blows back and forth. Kashi always happy to do so. He's got a little bit more sustain now with the Blade of the Ruined King completed.
It's going to be a while before Cinnamon Bread actually can begin standing up well enough against Akashi, especially with the Blade of the Ruined King completed, like you were pointing out. He has built like kind of multiple builds inside of his own items, so it's really difficult to be able to fight against the Irelia, at least for now.
Lockdown onto Cinnamon Bread, commits the ultimate for the knockup onto Akashi, who's just going to regen most of it back with the Blade Surge, plus the addition of the Blade of the Ruin King. Akashi crashes in another wave, neither party going to go down, but Cinnamon Bread has got to be feeling the pressure.
Feels like a really weird ultimate to try and throw out there by Cinnamon Bread, but it's the pressure that Akashi's Aurelia is pulling off down in the mid lane. So really difficult to find fault when there's barely anything you can do apart from allowing Akashi to just free farm.
Mike Young continuing to lurk around bot lane, wants to make sure that Gorica and Light Pulse are going to be free to farm, free to scale. We know the burst damage of this Tristana could pose a threat. Will dip a little bit in the mid game. That's what they want to make sure that they get to. But Maddie coming in for a play. Nature's Grasp is thrown down. Mike Young has recalled, and it is a numbers advantage for St. Clair. Rock Boom gets the kill onto Gorica, and Light Pulse is just going to have to head for the hills. And now the committed Vanguard's Edge in mid lane. Akashi looking for the solo kill, stacking up the Blade Surge. Cinnamon Bread has to hide underneath the turret. He just teleported back, and he's at risk of getting dove one-on-one. And Akashi gonna go for it. Flawless duet, but gets so killed in turn. Cinnamon Bread slams the ground and slams Akashi.
Cinnamon Bread, this time around you were bringing it up. He had to teleport back to lane, but he teleported with even more armor, so his survivability spiked by just a tiny bit more, and Akashi thought that he could take the fight onto Cinnamon Bread, doesn't get the kill, and instead now a bit of a good shutdown, not necessarily in terms of gold, but stopping Aurelia's ascent towards destruction is really good for Cinnamon Bread here. That being said, playing the bot lane turned so well for St. Clair to get the kill onto Gorica, and they are able to take advantage of the fact, like you were pointing out, that Mike Young backed. So it was a numbers advantage, a perfect setup, and a really good kill onto the barriers. Even though it looked like almost Light Pulse could have saved the situation with the pull away.
Yeah, and this whole way, it's been pretty quiet, but Elated's been chilling up there, man. He's got a nearly 20 CS lead. He just finished stacking his Cull, and he got to turn that into a Hextech Alternator. He's got to be pretty far ahead. I mean, a nice advantage over Ricky. Meanwhile, Cinnamon Bread face checking Akashi again, has the backup this time though, and the unstoppable force. They want to take this fight. Akashi tries to flash away, immune there from Cinnamon Bread as he dives in and goes on a killing spree. Ricky now wants to take the fight, but there's the backup available from the side of Light Pulse. He does have that hostile takeover when he's ready to commit it, and Elated has arrived to the party as well. Mike Young will go down, but here comes hostile takeover, holding everyone in place for Elated, slicing Maelstrom as Rock Boom hits the floor. Now going to be trying to fight it out is Ricky, but he'll get cut down as well. It's a 2-for-3 team fight. It's in the favor of UCI.
So good, the team fighting coming in by UCI there. They commit into Akashi, they see the Aurelia, they kill the Aurelia. They don't give Akashi any chance to be able to get involved in the fight really effectively. And they commit a lot to kill the Aurelia here, but they still have the second ultimate from the Wukong in here as well. Maddie survives by the skin of his teeth, almost dying there, really close to get the Maokai kill, and it could have been a 4 for just 2. But instead, he's able to run away thanks to the Blast Cone being able to push him away. The Mordekaiser as well did a really good job at killing Mike Young, but also forcing the play a little bit more farther down. But still, the setup with the kill for both the Cannon and the Tristana to die, or no, the Barriers to get the kill, really well done.
And welcome to everybody from Aegis 2. It is 2-1 in favor of UCI here from the lower bracket. And now with a lead, albeit a small one, in game number 4, they are looking to try to win this league from the lower bracket. Akashi looking for a flank, looking to put a stop to it. Does get the flawless duet onto Cinnamon Bread, but Mike Young is on top of him, but losing health fast. Over the wall goes Boschetti for the engage. Vanguard's Edge. Mike Young respawning off the bailout. Will go down. Boschetti claims the kill, but it's a trade back onto Ricky LaFleur as the burst damage from Elated is huge. He doesn't have slicing Maelstrom yet, though. Needs a couple more seconds. Will get the trade back onto Boschetti, but goes down before he can commit the ultimate. And Akashi sees an angle to step forward, cuts down Malphite, but loses his life in trade. It's a triple kill for Gorica, who's been firing arrows the whole fight long, and Rock Boom has got to retreat.
It was auto after auto after auto for Gorica, and it sets up perfectly to try and turn around a situation that was looking really bad for the side of UCI. It was equal in kills, but there was no Maelstrom, like you were pointing out, from the Cannon, and the Malphite really couldn't set up a really good position for the rest of the team. It starts awful as well with Mike Young dying really early. It was looking really good for them when they were able to kill the Wukong in that manner. And I think it was really well played by Sinclair overall. It's just that as of now, they really don't feel that strong compared to the side of UCI, and they are taking full advantage out of that. The Kennen feels like such a strong champion at this point in the game.
And they play the whole fight at a numbers disadvantage, right? I mean, they don't have Rock Boom when the fight starts, so they kill Maddie, but it only makes it, or sorry, they kill Mike Young, but it only makes it a 4-on-4, as Rock Boom is only just arriving at that time, and by then Elated is TP'd in. Ooh. And the double snipe from the arrow, beautiful there from Gorica.
It may not be lethality barriers, but the full value or the fully stacked WQ from the barriers does so much damage. As we saw in Worlds last year, it can really destroy champions and objectives.
You can, as Akashi face checks into Mike Young. Mike Young immediately is ready to commit the Cyclone. He knows who the most important target is. Gets another one here. Hostile takeover, comes across, lands on 2 members, but there's no follow-up there. Akashi and Maddie, they trade some blows, but not much comes of it. And UCI has actually just committed 2 very important ultimates and not really gotten anything for it.
Actually losing those 2 ultimates, not going to be the worst because they are not going to lose out on important objective fights because of losing those 2 ultimates, but it's still utilizing way too many resources for a kill into a target that still has flash. So it would have been really difficult. Actually, it's not just yet up, but would come back up soon enough. But it's still really difficult to try and get it onto the Aurelia. It's one of the hardest champions to kill, actually. So it's a nice attempt. It's not going to work out into anything, but now they know for future fights that they need a bit more to be able to pull it off. For the fight though, for next Dragon, and potentially if they want to force Baron or something like that, they will have their ultimates back up.
They will. Rock Boom getting the push in mid. Cinnamon Bread can walk up with impunity. He has so much armor with passive up. That was a full combo from Rock Boom. He's just shrugging it off. He does not care.
It's tickles. Pretty much just tickles.
300 armor without passive. Wait, let's wait for the passive. He has 481 armor with passive.
It really will just tickle the Malphite at this point, and he's still building more and more. He doesn't have a mythic yet either. So when he gets that, it's going to be not only that, but it's going to be way more. Also, Rockwood still doesn't have the LDR, so that point may change the situation a bit. Oh.
Late Pulse pulling the trigger, wants to get in onto Akashi, just pops down the exhaust, says, hey, who are you going to get now? Unstoppable force to knock him up. Gorica goes unstoppable, and St. Clair are without their star mid once again.
Akashi cannot find a break this game. He's been trying to go for the hyphy plays maybe a couple of times here, but he's been collapsed multiple times with more members, and Cinema Bread has specifically used the ultimate for Akashi. I don't remember seeing it used in anyone else that is not Akashi. Oh, wait. They don't know about this. Everyone back.
St. Clair perhaps getting a little bit desperate. So deep into this game, losing out on multiple fights, they are going to have to abandon it as Gorica's all alone, jumping over the wall. Rock Boom gets the flash. And you know what? I said it was desperate, but St. Clair, they come out positive for that Baron start.
Exactly. They don't lose anyone, and they get a flash out of it. We'll say, though, credit to Gorica for not taking any chances. That could have been a kill, and with how close it is for the dragon to spawn, probably not the best to let your virus die at that point. So really smart, just flash away and wait for the rest of your team to collapse onto you and be able to fight the next fight. It's important to be alive to fight a fight.
Is important to be alive. 1 second to go on the dragon. Does spawn up. It is Chemtech Drake. First one of the game. Dragon stacking been very slow this game, and without a very influential soul, I don't think it's going to pick up too much anytime soon. So UCI are moving themselves down towards it. They're willing to take a fight if one presents itself. Cinnamon Bread a bit cut off from the rest of the team, but he's so tanky, he's not at risk of getting picked.
Really difficult for it to be the case, and now with ultimates up, more than likely not going to turn into anything. The Elated is still in top lane. They are, or Elated, no, sorry. Ricky is still in top lane. They are giving space for the side of UCI to be able to get the dragon. Maybe they go for a fight.
Just got thunderclapped, and he lost way more health than he ever did to Cinnamon Bread.
The funniest part is that he's kiting, meanwhile trying to deal damage to Cinnamon Bread, and Cinnamon Bread just doesn't care at all. Oh no.
Cinnamon Bread snared up by the flawless duet, and just shrugs it off. I mean, burning down a little bit. Maddie does more damage to him than anybody of the AD
angle?
persuasion. Here's the flash engage from Boschetti. There's going to be the hostile takeover to slow down Akashi, and Akashi once again is down before the fight even starts. Ricky LaFleur coming in off the flank, but he's just gonna get slammed by the side of Cinnamon Bread. 2 kills for UCI, chasing down onto Boschetti, and UCI can do no wrong in this game number 4.
It's really easy. They just find the angle that they want and they force the picks with their ultimate. And it was a really good flank coming in from both Boschetti and Akashi. If they commit really well there with no flash on Gorica, maybe they could have found a perfect angle for a fight. But UCI is ready for it. They are ready to answer back onto the play. They have the better champions as of now. Kennen uses the ultimate, doesn't get any value, but they still get Baron, and that's what truly matters. If we see the replay though, it was setting up perfectly for UCI to get collapsed on and for a perfect fight for the side of St. Clair. But ultimates just deny everything from Akashi, dies immediately, doesn't get an opportunity to fight, and as soon as everyone else is out of position, it's just perfectly fine for the side of UCI to fight it.
A greatly placed unstoppable force there from Cinnamon Bread, forces Rock Boom back, picks up the kill on Ricky as well. And another fight win for UCI. They just cannot find the fights that they want on St. Clair. They have lost Akashi right at the start every single time. 3-8-3 on this Irelia. And if they cannot get him involved, if they cannot get some of these big shutdowns funneled into him, they are just never going to be able to have the success that they need in these fights.
It's difficult to try and get it, and Irelia at least now completes the second item, so you can kind of argue that with this 2-item power spike completed, there's better opportunities to force fight. But the same can be said for the Malphite. He was already surviving for so much, and now he also has the Jackshot completed. Everything is looking so positive for UCI, and it needs to be a miracle fight that St. Clair finds at this point at least to be able to force something in their favor. Oh,
Maddie committing the Nature's Grasp. They're going to go in onto Cinnamon Bread here. They do have Ricky to throw him down into the Death Realm. He's got mostly magic damage, and that is mostly armor on the Malphite. They chunk him down to about half HP, but the Death Realm expires. Maddie's lost most of his HP, and that's all that's been said about this fight. I mean, they still have Baron buff. It's just going to be a recall TP back from Cinnamon Bread. Elated is still pushing in the mid lane, and St. Clair have accomplished nothing.
In the middle, it was a fight before technically Elated was on the other side. Couldn't take down the turret, but they still win the fight because like you're pointing out, they don't lose anyone, they still have Baron buff, they get another turret in their favor.
Rock Boom finding Light Pulse, cleansing away from the handshake. Now the engage onto Akashi.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, double Cyclone thrown down, double crushing blow. Mike Young gets the kill with help from Elated, and the unstoppable Rock Boom. Both carries are down for St. Clair. UCI, they pull the trigger in mid and in the top jungle, and they just demolish St. Clair College. UCI are in full control.
UCI is not only awakened, but they are destroying everything in their way. They are taking the fights that they want, they are forcing the play how they want it, and they are poised to be able to take out this game, at least looking like that for now. Taking down the inhibitor, they still have Baron buff, there's still time before the other members are alive. This could be it, this could be the final push.
10 seconds on Rock Boom, 3 seconds on Akashi. Trying to stall for time is Boschetti, but he will just be cut down. Here comes Akashi. He's got the Vanguard's Edge. He commits it. He has to dive in onto Cinnamon Bread first. He gets 2 dashes. He gets 3. He gets the Ignite on the Light Pulse, but he kills nobody. Gorica stands strong and fights. And from the lower bracket, UCI rise to become your ACL champions.
And if you ask Gordo, if you ask a friend of ours, Nyarko, he probably would say that lower bracket should have a reset, but it's not the case here. Lower bracket winners, lower bracket comes up from down to the top and wins the grand finals. Fully deserved. UCI played an amazing match. It was competed between both teams, both had their chances, but they pulled it off at the end with a great Game 3 into a massive dominating Game 4.
Absolutely here. What a fantastic performance there from the UCI squad. I said it before, and I'm going to say it again, TDS. We were a little bit worried earlier this week about, hey, are these teams going to be able to be competitive with St. Clair? Are we going to have a close, competitive final? And then after the matchup against Des Moines Yellow, we were even a little bit more worried as Des Moines Yellow really pushed them to the edge of UCI, on the side of UCI, after having been demolished by St. Clair. But UCI, they come out swinging here. This was the matchup they were preparing for all along, and they take it 3-1.
100%. It maybe comes to the question, or brings the question of, maybe they were taking the Moin not as serious in terms of preparation or mental image, because they thought they were going to win it and go against St. Clair immediately. But it also kind of brings up the fact that each game is a different story. You cannot evaluate anything from the previous matches apart from maybe a bit of stats and champion picks. But every match is different from each other, and you really have to respect the opponents that are coming into your game, because UCI not only came in here today with good plans in multiple games, but also with the desire to win it, and they did that perfectly in the series.
Absolutely terrific performance there all around from the side of UCI. I am just blown away by how much improvement they've been able to show since that 2-1 loss up against St. Clair in the upper bracket. I mean, this is what double elimination is all about, TDS. The
Yeah,
fact that they're able
exactly.
to improve themselves, practice more, come in with a better strategy in this best of 5 versus the best of 3 they played previously, and they come up huge for it and are our first ACL champions.
Fully deserved, fully ready to be able to take it. This was their main competition after what happened with Silo. We heard it from Lightpulse, and they commit to it. They are able to showcase themselves and win it at the end. And at least a good way to try and put yourselves ready for next split, for next season, to win it, be the defending champions coming in potentially for next split. And going to be a really fun tournament with UCI if they are able to come back into this.
All right, and it looks like there's one player on UCI who loves the broadcast more than the rest, all right? And that's Light
Yeah.
Pulse. We're going to pull him in here in just a second. We're going to throw it to a quick break while we get everything set up for that interview, but we will have a quick interview with Light Pulse before we close out the ACL for the split. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We are joined by the ACL champion, Light Pulse from UCI. Congratulations. You made it. You crowned yourself ACL champion, a 3-1 win over St. Clair College.
Thank you so much. So happy.
Absolutely. So we had you on here last week as well, Light Pulse, to talk about Gragas and Kog'Maw support as well as your wins in the lower bracket. So you guys were knocked down there originally by St.
Mhm.
Clair in a 1-2 loss. What do you think has really changed over these last couple of weeks, or what did you guys change in your approach to be able to come back out and get the win today?
I mean, for us, it's our last game of the season. No matter what, win, loss, draw, it was going to be our last game. We really wanted to, leave a good impression on the year. Like, obviously, we had the upset in CeeLo. Pretty disappointing CeeLo finish, I'd say, for all of us. We really wanted to come out on top in our last game of the year, and then along with that, like our first series, we really felt that we really lost it ourselves. We had a huge gold lead game one, through it, won game two, just like that. It could have been 2-0. And then, game three decider took the L, but so happy to bounce back in our, de facto last game of the year.
Yeah, and it's important to get the picture. Like, obviously, it's still the last game and all that, but obviously, the taste of victory is much better than if you end up losing it. And I'm kind of curious because obviously, coming into the series, you had to go through the Moin Yellow before that. We didn't get a lot of chances to talk about you guys with what happened in that series, but it kind of felt like maybe because of preparation into this, it kind of slipped away in a couple of games. And I'm kind of curious if it really impacted, like, because it was St. Clair in the grand finals. Did that impact the lower bracket final as well, or is it just like a slight slip that you were expecting?
No, I don't think it really impacted the lower bracket final. We're just kind of, take each game as it is. We try really hard not to look forward. That's one of our. I think that's a key part of CeeLo, especially where sometimes you get teams that they might not match you in rank, they might not match you in like prestige. It's always important to focus on them, even if you think it's going to be an easy win. We try really hard as a team to make sure that we don't look past anybody. We didn't look past DMY at all. The game 3 and 4 that we played, we we're kind of not on our A game, but really happy that we brought it back for game 5 in that series. So it brought us here, and then really happy with our performance today. Obviously, 4-game series. Game 2 was a little iffy at times, but made the adjustments that we needed to. Came back 3-4. They were pretty clean games from us. I think everyone on the team played really really well today.
Would definitely agree with you there. Let's take a second here. I would like to check out a clip from that game. We still have one of those early game team fights from game number 4. Stuff got a little crazy here, so if we could bring this one in, would love to hear about like what's going through your guys' mind as this play's breaking out.
So here, our ball lane is just, we're calming. We need level 3. We need level 3. We could follow. We could follow. We see this guy flash. We're like, okay, we have Renata W. I literally told Mike, minus the profanity, I was like, yo, just brawl it out. Just brawl it out. Like, I'm just gonna press W on you. Just fight. And you know, in situations like this, there's not too many comms. Maybe contrary to popular belief, maybe you think like sometimes situations like these can get really, a lot of talk. But for the most part, I think a lot of people are just focused on fighting themselves, and it's more of an individual thing. But I mean, this specific invade is something that we practice a lot throughout this year with the priority that we have bot, priority that we have mid. Getting the second buff. It's such an advantage for our jungle. Everything here with the perfection, got a huge early game lead. It was really good for us. So
Yeah, and I kind of like working off of that as well because you guys play a lot of Wukong, but Maokai ended up being an important pick as well. Like, was it also a plan that worked really well against the Maokai particularly, or does it go well with just working around Mike Young's pick with the Wukong and things like that?
no, I mean, it's really just depending on the bot in the mid lane more so. Like, the only reason we go for this is we have insane mid prio. Our mid is first, and we don't have bot prio in this clip, but a lot of times that we do it, it's because based off of our bot prio, we can always move first. But here, like, we at least didn't give enough prio that we can be there, like, and not have the enemy be there like 10 seconds before. I think like they were probably like 2 seconds, 3 seconds before us, and then once Varus or Nada get to the fight, it's really hard for enemy to play because they're so strong early, so much stronger than like a Rakan.
And I kind of like talking about mid lane. I kind of want to talk about the mid lane matchup. It was Cinnamon Bread against Akashi. I think one of the most highlighted matchups coming into the grand finals. And then we had a lot of action. Obviously, it was Akali, Syndra, we had
Mhm.
LeBlanc against Eri. And then for the last game, you pulled out the Malphite in the mid lane. Kind of unexpected. We weren't expecting that at all. We're kind of saying, I honestly called out that it was going to be Malphite support. I thought it
Mhm.
was going to be you pulling the Malphite support.
I
So
wish, bro.
it was really unexpected. And I'm kind of curious how Cinnamon Bread like opts into this. If is it himself putting himself into the spot for the team, or is it more of the team wanting him to play this sort of champions?
No, it's completely on Ben. You know, he has a great champ pool. You know, is a big advantage for our team to be able to pick something like that in a most important game of the year for us at least. You know, past the CeeLo matches, it's definitely the most important game for us. And being able to play something like that and be confident on it, I mean, you could see the power of it. Um, you know, going through with that, like we've been talking about Malphite for a bit, for a couple weeks against our JV team. I think both of us were high trialing Malphite. I think we banned it every single game against our JV team in the series that we played against them in ACL. So, you know, we saw the Irelia. Actually, funnily enough, we lost to Malphite mid in our CeeLo match in the last match of it. So I guess it's kind of like our vindication. You know, we could pick it too and end the year on a win on Malphite mid.
Malphite mid maybe just a little broken. Could
Yeah.
at least summarize 2023 that way. Wanted to also ask, talking about support matchups throughout this
Mhm.
series, right? We had so we were talking a lot on broadcast about the Thresh, and coming into
Mhm.
game two, it was a huge player for St. Clair. Baschetti had a great Thresh game there,
Yeah,
getting a
yeah,
lot of
yeah.
important fights started. Then you had a great Thresh game in game number three. So we were talking a lot about this potentially being, a big prio pick coming in for the rest of the series, and then it just
Mhm.
whiffs through picks and bans in game number four. Is that kind of like a coincidence or a matchup thing, or are we reading too much into the pick, or was it something that you guys were really reading into and planning on integrating into your draft, and just the cards didn't fall that way?
Like me as a player, like I'm always down to have support counterpick. You know, I'm basically begging my coach, like, please let me, cook up a matchup and let me show the world this matchup how this should be played. For Thresh specifically, it's more so the fact that he fell in 3 and 4 is just because of the ADCs that were picked.
Hmm.
Um, when we play, when we play Varus lanes, we're playing poke Varus. We really want to have double poke lanes. That's why we have Heimer, stuff like that. That's why we play Kog'Maw. Stuff like Ezreal, we want to play double poke lanes like the Ez Karma. And in game four, they ended up blinding their Rakan. We saved support for R5. I was kind of deciding between Gragas or Renata, more of a harder disengaged champ to really stuff their melee champs, which would be better than Thresh in that situation. And there just wasn't really a situation where like a lot of the times you get Thresh and Tom Kench specifically when you have Jinx Aphelios, both champs kind of want something to save them from divers because they're so mobile. But I mean, just in this game, it just wasn't needed. So
So was it to deny it from the Aphelios lane in game number three
yeah,
then? Because you do
yeah,
pair it
yeah,
up with
it
the Varus
was.
there.
It
Okay.
was, yeah. And the same thing happened in the DMY game where in game five, we picked Thresh on 4. And that was just because, we want Thresh, they want Thresh. Okay, let's just pick it now, even if we don't have support counter pick.
Yeah, it can be into certain situations. It also had a highlight to me. The highlight of the game three is the hook into the Baron to pull the kill.
Yeah,
That was such a good pick because
thank you.
yes, the others may have been killed by the Wukong, but killing the Aphelios with the cannon was such a
Mhm.
smart play. And I'm gonna was it is it really like just you seeing the Baron and not thinking like I can hook a champion instead? The Baron is the more safe option.
So it's just kind of instinct at that point when the game is so the game is going to be decided on one play. It's really a more instinctual decision. Also give credit to Dat. Elated in the top lane, he definitely smurfed that fight. I think other Kennons would have ran after the 3 that were stunned, but he beelined to Felios, one shot him, let everyone clean up. So definitely give props to Elated too for that one.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I do see in Twitch chat, I see Hermes saying UCI JV hardest series according to Varsity. Do you share that opinion? Do you think that was the toughest matchup throughout the split?
you know, I do think so. Partly because they have access to all of our scrims. Hermes was telling us, he didn't tell us the specific prep, but he was basically just telling us like, yeah, I mean, JV really wants to beat you. Like they have been prepping for all these draft scenarios, all these level 1 scenarios, and if you watch the JV level 1 in game 1, they ended up tricking us just based off what we do normally. They have all the VODs of our scrims, all the VODs of our games. We are kind of telegraphed at level 1, and they punished us at level 1, and they ended up winning that game 1, and we really had to claw back, dig down, and come back in the reverse sweep 2 games.
Good stuff. Good stuff. TDS, did you have anything else you wanted to ask?
No, he already answered me that he was going to play Gragas, so I
I know,
kind of
dude. I
already
saw
feel
you.
happy
You look
about
like you're on the
that.
verge of tears when
It
he
was
said he almost
close.
locked the Gragas. That didn't come through. That's all right. Maybe next season, TDS.
I'm
Maybe
going to
next
keep
season.
pushing it. I believe someone somewhere has to pull out the Gragas support, and I'll be there watching it happen someday.
If Rel ever comes back, you'll see it. I
Oh, yeah.
promise. Okay.
That's
That
big
champ
one.
is that champ is not too great. So, but if it ever does, I promise.
I know it's
All
unlucky.
right. Good stuff. Well, that's going to close out ACL for the season, Light Pulse. You get the last word here, fresh off the victory. Anybody you want to shout out? Anything you want to say to those who are still tuned in?
Yeah, man. I just want to talk about my team real fast.
Of course.
It was a long season for us. College league, the season is a lot longer than normal like LCS academy splits, stuff like that. We've been playing together for 8-9 months. The improvement that we've shown, even though some of our results aren't the results that we want, the improvement that we've shown is something that we should all be proud of. And just starting off, we have Elated in the top lane, came in completely fresh. Um, you know, Worked so hard, took so much criticism, and ended up shining. He played so well this series. His Kennen has pretty much been carrying us through the playoff stage of CLOL, playoff stage of ACL, and then outside of that, we have our Rock in the jungle. We have Mike Young, the monk mental, always there, perfect early games, always knows the right play, always playing for me and Alex. We're just calling him all game. Yo, just sit behind me. I want to hit the tower. And then we have Ben in the mid lane, Cinnamon Bread, just insane mechanical player, great laning phases, always down to sack a wave, come bot, make our game easier. Really appreciate him. And I mean, his champ pool showed in the last game. You were talking about the Malphite, and then obviously I have Gorka in my lane too. All year super confident with all of our 2v2s. Super just proud of the way that we played 2v2 all year. I think we really showed that we could match up to any bot lane 2v2 and just kind of stomp through them. And then obviously our coach too, Hermes, always here for us, talking about whatever we want to talk about, whether it's draft, prep, VOD review. What do you think about this random LCS game? What do you think about this random Worlds game? So big thanks to him putting in so much work. And then final thank you to my girlfriend. I know she's watching. She's always watching. So I love you, Thank you for watching every single game this year. I really appreciate you.
Love to hear it. Well, congratulations, Light Pulse. You get your ACL championship. You did get all-star support as well. I believe you knew that before the series started because you got.
Oh no, I didn't.
Oh, really? All right. You got reached out to for like champion picks. I didn't know if they told you.
Oh, that's what that was.
You and Mike Young are our all-star
okay.
jungle and support for this season. So glad that we got to share that with you before you dropped off. That would have sucked if we didn't get to tell you on camera.
I'm glad.
So congratulations again, Light Pulse. Thank you everybody for tuning into this first split of the ACL. Applications for next split do open up tomorrow, so be sure to get in there and register, and we will see you guys all for the summer split. But that's gonna do it. So from myself, TDS, and Caddy on production, thank you all for joining us. Follow TDS on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter too. You'll find it wherever you look, and we will see you all next season. Thank you again.
Restore our glory to live.